You need to deal with your trust issues, my wife said, after I found hundreds of emails with the man she once said was better for her. She claimed it was business, but I finally saw through her lies. So this happened and I'm still processing it. I need to know if I'm crazy or if my gut feeling is right because I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. My wife Alice and I have been together for 12 years, married for 8 with 2 kids, a 6-year-old boy and a 4-year-old girl. Overall, we've had a solid marriage. We communicate well, rarely fight, support each other's careers. At least that's what I thought until recently. Here's the background that's eating me alive. Before we got engaged, Alice had this friend Hunter from college. They stayed in touch. Nothing romantic ever happened between them, as far as I know, but there was always this weird vibe. I met him a few times at parties, and he seemed like a decent guy, but Alice would light up around him in a way that made my stomach turn. The night before I proposed, Alice and I were talking about our future, and she said something that still haunts me. You know, if I'm being totally honest, Hunter would probably be better for me in some ways. He's more ambitious, more confident. But I love you and love is what matters. She said it so casually, like she was commenting on the weather. I should have walked away that night. Instead, I proposed the next day because I was already so invested and convinced myself she chose me, right? That had to mean something. Besides, it was just one time. She never said anything like that again in all these years. So I've kept telling myself it was probably nothing, just a moment, just words. Fast forward to now. 3 months ago, Alice started doing business consulting work. She's already a marketing director at a tech company, makes good money, so this side gig isn't about needing cash. She told me she wanted to try something outside of her comfort zone, but guess who her first and biggest client is? Hunter. He runs some startup, reached out through Alice's old college roommate Dina, who's now Hunter's wife, and asked if Alice could help with their marketing strategy. Alice was excited about it, said it would be good experience for potentially starting her own consulting business someday. I bit my tongue initially because I didn't want to be that controlling husband. But over the past 3 months, I've watched my wife transform. She dresses differently on days she has meetings with Hunter. She lights up when she talks about his business ideas. She's constantly texting him, way more than she texts Dina, who's supposed to be her actual friend. Last week was the breaking point. I came home early from work and found Alice on a video call with Hunter, both of them laughing about some inside joke. When she saw me, she quickly wrapped up the call. Later, I asked what was so funny, and she got defensive, saying I wouldn't understand because it was about marketing stuff. That night, I tried to have a conversation about boundaries. I told her I was uncomfortable with how close she'd gotten with Hunter, especially given their history and what she'd said years ago. I wasn't asking her to stop working with him, just to keep things more professional. Alice completely shut down, started crying, saying I was being controlling and insecure. That she thought we'd moved past my jealousy issues, news to me that I apparently had jealousy issues. She said I was trying to sabotage her career, and that she'd worked too hard to let me hold her back. I felt like I was going insane. I wasn't asking her to quit her job or never speak to men. I was asking for basic respect and transparency in our marriage. Then yesterday, I discovered something that made my blood run cold. Alice left her laptop open and I saw her email. I wasn't snooping, I was just going to close it, but I noticed her trash folder had a bunch of deleted emails with Hunter's name. Hundreds of them over the past 3 months. Why is my wife deleting her correspondence with a business client? What kind of marketing consultation requires that level of secrecy? I confronted her about it last night. I waited until the kids were asleep, then sat down across from her at our kitchen table. Alice, I saw your laptop today. Why are you deleting emails with Hunter? She immediately got defensive, crossing her arms. What were you doing on my laptop? That's such a violation of my privacy, Mike. I was just closing it. I saw your trash folder by accident. But you didn't answer my question, why delete them? Alice's face flushed red. She stood up abruptly, pacing to the kitchen counter. They get deleted automatically. It's some setting I don't understand. I shook my head. Alice, I work in it. Email doesn't just automatically delete itself, especially not specific conversations with one person. Well, maybe I accidentally deleted them. God, Mike, you're being so paranoid about this. Paranoid. My wife is secretly communicating with a guy she once said would be better for her than me, and I'm paranoid for asking about it. Alice whipped around, her voice getting louder. I never said that. Yes, you did. The night before I proposed, you said Hunter would probably be better for you. She stared at me for a long moment, and I could see her trying to figure out how to respond. That was 8 years ago, Mike. Are you really going to hold something I said when I was 20 against me forever? I'm not holding it against you. I'm trying to understand why you're being secretive about working with him. Alice started crying then, the tears coming fast. Because I knew you'd react like this. I knew you'd make it weird and controlling. I can't even have a professional relationship without you thinking the worst of me. Professional relationships don't require deleting correspondence, Alice. I don't know why they got deleted. Maybe I was cleaning up my inbox. Maybe I hit the wrong button. Why does everything have to be some conspiracy with you? I felt my frustration building. Alice, please, just be honest with me. How often are you really talking to Hunter? We communicate as needed for business purposes. That's not what I asked. She grabbed her purse and car keys from the counter. I can't do this right now. I need space to think. You need to deal with your trust issues before they destroy our marriage. And with that, she stormed out. I heard her car start in the driveway and watched her taillights disappear down our street, leaving me sitting alone in our kitchen wondering what the hell just happened. This morning she texted saying she needs space to think about whether she can be married to someone who doesn't trust her. I'm sitting here wondering how the hell we got to this point. My wife is essentially having an emotional affair with a guy she once said would be better for her than me, and somehow I'm the villain for being uncomfortable with it. Am I crazy? Is this normal? Would you be okay if your spouse was working closely with someone they'd compared you unfavorably to while being secretive about their communications? I feel like I'm watching my marriage implode in slow motion, and I don't know how to stop it. Edit. Holy shit, this blew up. Reading all your comments, and I think I needed to hear this from strangers. Going to try to have a serious conversation with Alice when she comes home. For those asking, yes, Alice knows I remember what she said about Hunter being better for me. I've never brought it up before because I thought I'd gotten over it, but clearly I haven't. Maybe that's part of the problem. Update 1. Posted 2 weeks ago. Alice came home 2 days after my original post. She'd been staying at her sister's house, and I guess her sister had been filling her head with ideas about my controlling behavior, because Alice came back loaded for bear. She started the conversation by saying she'd been doing a lot of thinking, and that she realized we had fundamental incompatibilities that she'd been ignoring, that I was insecure and jealous, and that she couldn't live her life walking on eggshells around my feelings. I tried to stay calm and rational. I told her I wasn't trying to control her, but that basic transparency in marriage was important to me. I asked her directly, "Why are you deleting emails with Hunter?" "Oh my God, seriously, Mike, we're doing this again." "Yes, Alice, and I'll keep doing it until you give me a straight answer." Alice got this look on her face, like a deer in headlights, and then said something that made my stomach drop through the floor, "Because I knew you'd overreact to how often we communicate." Let that sink in. My wife was actively hiding the extent of her relationship with another man because she knew it would upset me. And somehow I'm the problem for being upset about it. I asked how often they were communicating. Alice said a few times a week, which I knew was bullshit because I'd seen her phone lighting up with his messages almost daily. When I called her on this, she admitted it was maybe more like once a day. Then I asked the question that's been eating at me. Do you still think Hunter would be better for you than me? The silence that followed was deafening. Alice looked away and said, "That's not fair. I chose you." "But do you still think it?" I pressed. More silence. Then, "Sometimes I wonder what my life would have been like." "Yes. Doesn't everyone?" "No, Alice. Everyone doesn't wonder what their life would be like with a specific other person while married with 2 kids. I asked if she'd talked to Hunter about our marriage problems. She said no. I asked if she'd talked to him about me at all. Another long pause before she admitted they'd discussed relationship stuff, because Hunter was going through some things with Dina. So my wife has been emotional support for another man, discussing her marriage with him while keeping all of this secret from me. Cool. I told Alice I wanted to see their communications, just to understand what was happening. Alice absolutely lost it. Said I was being controlling and abusive, and that no healthy marriage requires that level of surveillance. Here's where it gets really messed up. I said, okay, then call Hunter right now and tell him you need to maintain better boundaries because it's affecting our marriage. Alice said she couldn't do that because it would be unprofessional and might hurt his business. When I pointed out that she'd seemed more concerned about Hunter's feelings than mine, she started crying and saying I was being manipulative. The conversation ended with Alice agreeing to work on communication, but refusing to change anything about her relationship with Hunter. She said his business was really taking off, and that her work with him was too important to jeopardize. Over the past week, I've been watching my wife like a hawk, and the patterns are undeniable. She spends hours crafting emails to Hunter. She talks about him constantly. She started working out more and buying new clothes for client meetings. Yesterday, I came home and found her getting ready for another business dinner with Hunter alone at a nice restaurant downtown. When I asked why Dina wasn't joining them, Alice said Dina was busy with their kids. I asked Alice how she'd feel if I was having regular solo dinners with a woman I'd once said would be better for me than her, while hiding our communications. Alice said that was completely different because this was about work. I'm starting to realize that my wife is either completely delusional about what's happening, or she knows exactly what she's doing and doesn't care how it's destroying me. The worst part is how she's rewriting our entire history. According to Alice now, I've always been jealous and controlling. Our marriage has always had trust issues. She's starting to talk about us like we're incompatible, like maybe we rushed into marriage. I love this woman. I've built my entire adult life around her, but I'm watching her slowly erase our relationship to justify whatever she's doing with Hunter, and I don't know how to fight it. Edit. Thanks for all the support. Some of you suggested I talk to Dina directly. I'm considering it, but I'm worried about creating drama that could blow up in my face. To those saying I should just divorce her, we have 2 kids and a mortgage. It's not that simple. I need to be smart about this. For those asking if I think they're physically cheating, honestly, I don't know anymore. But the emotional cheating is undeniable at this point. Update 2, posted 1 week ago. I can't believe I'm writing this. Everything I thought I knew about my life was wrong. After reading all your advice, I decided to reach out to Dina. I was nervous as hell because Alice and Dina have been friends since college, but I needed to know what was really going on. I texted Dina asking if we could meet for coffee to discuss something important. She agreed to meet yesterday afternoon while our kids were in school. Dina showed up looking uncomfortable as hell. Before I even said anything, she blurted out, "I'm so sorry, Mike. I never thought it would go this far." My heart started racing. I asked what she meant. Dina told me everything. First of all, there is no consulting business. Hunter's startup failed 6 months ago. Alice has been meeting with Hunter under the pretense of business consulting, but there's no actual business to consult on. Dina thought I knew and was okay with it. Second, Hunter and Dina are having serious marriage problems. Hunter told Dina he's always regretted not pursuing Alice in college. Dina said Hunter has been obsessed with Alice for years and that Alice reaching out about business was like a gift from the universe for him. But here's the part that destroyed me. Alice knows about Hunter's feelings. She's known for months. Dina confronted Alice about it when she noticed how much time Alice and Hunter were spending together, and Alice said she was just helping an old friend through a rough patch. Dina begged Alice to be honest with me about what was happening. Alice promised she would. That was 2 months ago, so my wife has been lying to me for months. There's no consulting business. She's been having an emotional affair with a man who's obsessed with her, knowing full well that he has feelings for her, while his marriage falls apart and mine crumbles. When I asked Dina if she thought they were physically cheating, she started crying. She said she didn't know for sure, but that Hunter had been staying out late several nights a week, claiming he was working on business stuff with Alice. I felt like I was going to throw up. I asked Dina why she didn't tell me sooner. She said she kept hoping Alice would do the right thing and that she didn't want to be the one to blow up 2 marriages. I drove home in a daze. Alice was in our kitchen making dinner like nothing was wrong. I walked up to her and said, "I talked to Dina." The color drained from Alice's face. She knew she was caught. I told her I knew about Hunter's startup failing, about his feelings for her, about their lies. I asked her directly, "Are you having an affair?" Alice broke down completely. She said she wasn't technically cheating, that they'd never crossed physical lines, but that she'd developed feelings for Hunter. She said she'd been confused and scared and didn't know how to handle it. I asked when she'd realized she had feelings for him. Alice said it started almost immediately when they reconnected, but that she thought she could handle it professionally. Then she said the thing that ended our marriage. "I've been pretending to be happy with you for years, Mike. I love you, but I'm not in love with you anymore. I haven't been for a long time." I asked how long. She said probably since our son was born. 6 freaking years. My wife has been living a lie for 6 years. She's been going through the motions of our marriage while fantasizing about another man. She's been raising our children while pretending to love their father. I asked why she didn't just divorce me if she's been so unhappy. Alice said she kept hoping her feelings would change, that she could force herself to be content with our life. But reconnecting with Hunter made her realize she couldn't live a lie anymore. I asked if she wanted to work on our marriage or if she wanted to be with Hunter. Alice cried and said she didn't know, that she needed time to figure out what she wanted. I told her she didn't get to have both, that she could either commit to rebuilding our marriage with complete transparency and cutting contact with Hunter, or she could leave. But I wasn't going to be her backup plan while she figured out if the grass was greener. Alice said she needed a few days to think. I told her she could think all she wanted, but not in our house. She packed a bag and left to stay with her sister again. That was 3 days ago. Today she texted saying she wants to separate. She's not ready to file for divorce yet, but she wants to explore her feelings and figure out what she really wants. I texted back, "You already figured it out. You chose him." I'll be filing for divorce next week. I've already talked to a lawyer. I'm going to fight for primary custody of our kids. Alice can explore her feelings all she wants, but she's not doing it while I pay the bills and watch the children she's abandoned for her fantasy relationship. The worst part is explaining this to our kids. How do you tell a 6-year-old and 4-year-old that mommy is moving out because she has feelings for someone else? I keep thinking about all the times Alice complained about feeling unfulfilled, about wanting more excitement in her life. I thought she was talking about her career or hobbies. I never realized she was talking about me. 12 years together, 8 years married, 2 beautiful children, and she threw it all away for a fantasy with a man whose own marriage she helped destroy. Edit: for those asking about Hunter's marriage, Dina is filing for divorce too. She said she can't compete with a fantasy and doesn't want to try. I've told my parents and Alice's parents what's happening. Her parents are devastated and have been calling Alice nonstop. My parents are flying in next week to help with the kids. Some of you are asking if I should fight for the marriage. No, I'm done. Alice had 6 years to tell me she was unhappy. She chose to lie instead. You don't come back from that level of betrayal. Final update. Posted 3 days ago. It's been a month since my last update, and I wanted to give you guys closure since you've been so supportive throughout this nightmare. Alice moved in with Hunter 2 weeks ago. Their affair is now completely out in the open. Dina's divorce was finalized last week, and she's been an incredible support through this whole process. She's actually become a good friend, and our kids play together sometimes. The divorce proceedings are moving forward. Alice initially demanded 50-50 custody and half of everything, claiming she was an equal parent who deserved equal time. Her lawyer tried to paint me as controlling and financially abusive for questioning her secret communications with Hunter. I responded by filing for primary custody and presenting evidence of her emotional affair, the deleted emails, testimony from Dina about the fake consulting business, and documentation of Alice abandoning our home to live with her affair partner. My lawyer also highlighted how Alice had been lying to our children about her whereabouts during her business meetings. When Alice realized I wasn't going to roll over, she completely changed tactics. Suddenly, she was willing to accept weekend visits and wanted to co-parent amicably for the children's sake. Her lawyer started pushing for a quick settlement, probably because they knew an affair partner moving in immediately after separation wouldn't look good to a judge. Alice can see the kids every other weekend and Wednesday evenings until we finalize everything. She keeps trying to guilt me about keeping her from her babies, but she made her choice when she prioritized Hunter over her family. What's really messed up is how Alice is trying to rewrite history now that she's free. She's been telling people that our marriage had been dead for years, that we were basically roommates, that I was emotionally unavailable and controlling. None of our mutual friends are buying it, but it's still painful to watch her trash over a decade of our life together just to justify her choices. Like it all meant nothing. Hunter, meanwhile, has been posting on social media about finding his soulmate and never giving up on love. It's nauseating but also revealing. This man helped destroy 2 marriages and he's treating it like a romantic comedy. The kids are struggling. Our son keeps asking when mommy is coming home, and our daughter has started having nightmares. I've got them in counseling, which is helping, but it breaks my heart watching them try to understand why their mother chose a man they've never met over their family. I'm also in therapy now, working through the betrayal and rebuilding my sense of reality. Honestly, I never thought I'd be someone who needed this kind of help, but shame doesn't heal you. And the damage from a decade-long relationship doesn't disappear just because you tell yourself to be strong. My therapist says it's common for victims of emotional manipulation to question their own perceptions long after the relationship ends. But I'm getting stronger every day. The kids and I are doing better. We've established new routines, new traditions. We're learning to be a family of 3. It's not the life I planned, but it's honest. And after years of living with someone who was pretending to love me, honesty feels revolutionary. Alice can have her fantasy relationship with Hunter. I hope it works out for them genuinely, because our kids deserve stability. But I also know that a relationship built on lies and betrayal rarely leads to lasting happiness. As for me, I'm focusing on being the best dad I can be and rebuilding my life with intention. I'm not ready to date yet, but when I am, I'll know exactly what to look for and what not to tolerate. Thanks for all your support. You helped me see the truth when I was too close to the situation to see it myself. Stay strong out there. Edit. To those asking about Alice's relationship with the kids, she sees them every other weekend and Wednesday evenings. She's trying to be a good mom within those constraints, but it's clearly difficult for everyone.